All right, everyone, it looks like I have a bed, I have a desk, I have a dresser, and I have a like the last, so Miss Sauer doesn't yell at me, is to have windows in my room. So windows are actually fairly simple. I'll go through them very quickly. And if you have to add doors in your room, this is also a very similar concept. It's just it touches the ground versus not touching the ground in your room. So it all depends on the size of your window, how many you want in your room. But the concept is still the same. You're still using horizontal, vertical, and orthogonal lines to build these and adding the details that I will be showing in the video is the same throughout the board, regardless of the type of window that you have. Sometimes you might not have one that are more rectangular windows, and they might have more of an arch on it. I'm not going to be showing that in my video, but if you have questions about it and you're trying to get to work in your particular drawing, do not be afraid to ask. So this is just a general idea of how to do the ones that are more rectangular. And since I have a lot of space in my room and I really like having light in my room, I actually might just have windows like all the way across. Why not? Okay. What am I going to do with all the space anyway? I mean, I guess I could put a lot of posters or something on there, but let's let in a lot of light in this room. Plus, if you are drawing windows in your own room, this might be really helpful because you get to see them from all different angles. So I'll just do a generic outline for each of the windows before adding a detail on just one of them. So thing you need to figure out is number one, what walls do you want to have your windows on? And number two, how tall, how short, how wide are they? How far off the ground are they? Um, Actually, I think I might drop mine a little bit on my back wall because I think I want it so then, like, maybe if I'm working at my desk, I can look straight out the window and maybe have, like, some of my desk stuff sitting on the windowsill or other ridiculous stuff like that. So I'm going to erase this a little bit. There's the bottom. And if you want to have multiple windows in your room, but they all are on the same level, this is a good way to get it started. So here is my horizontal line. I know it's horizontal because I line my triangle up on the edge of my page. And if I start at this corner and use an orthogonal line, this gives me the same baseline, the same bottom line for all of my windows. So if this was, say, 4 feet, 3.5 feet off the ground, that means right here is 3.5 feet off the ground, regardless of the fact that it looks like it has more space between the bed here as it does here, or that this is lower on the paper than it is up here. Okay, this is all the same height off the ground because I used an orthogonal coming from this point. So I'm going to do the same thing on the opposite side, and it looks like this goes perfectly right above my dresser, so I didn't make anything too tall in here. Wonderful. Happy little accidents. All right. So after this, I need to figure out how tall do I want my windows? Do I want them, all the way up so they're almost touching the ceiling, or do I want a little bit of space there? So I am actually going to make mine so there's a little bit of a space there. Maybe I want to hang up a photo clothesline or something funny up across the top. So I'm going to do my top right here. Going to do the same thing that I did on the bottom part of my windows, except for it's going to be the top of my windows. So extending this using orthogonals. So then all my windows would be essentially the same size. Next bit is creating divisions for my windows because I obviously am not going to have it right here. It's not going to be a solid pane of glass all the way across. That'd be kind of silly looking. So I'm just going to break mine up into hunks. So I am thinking there's going to be a little bit of space between my edge of the corner of my wall and the border around my window. So I'm going to break this up here. Do the same thing on this side because I want a little space there as well. And I want some nice symmetry in my room, some nice balance. I'm going to do the same thing on the opposite side, making sure that mine is lined up on the edge of my paper. Once again, lining up on the edge of my paper, making sure I'm getting a nice vertical line, and then drawing my line right here. Okay, so this is essentially what I'm doing is I'm breaking it up so that my windows are not all touching each other. There's a little bit of a space in between as we see in this picture right here. Let's slide this down a little bit because we care more about the top of my drawing than the bottom. All right, next thing I need to do is figure out how many windows I want, how far apart they are, how wide they are. And I'm thinking, I like going from the bottom. I am going to make my first window about this big. Okay. I don't have any specific measurement in mind. I'm just going to start like this, and then I'm going to slide it over a little bit, so then there's that gap in between. Beautiful. And then one thing that you can do to see if items are the same size is I could take a ruler, or I can go like this, and I'm guesstimating a little bit here. So I'm lining up my finger right here, making a mark about where the thickness of my other window is. If you're really particular on making sure your window is exactly the same size, go and use a ruler, okay? I don't have a ruler sitting right here, so I'm being semi-lazy, but also just, winging it, and it's okay because it's going to be about the same size regardless. See? Not too bad. Okay, and then creating that same size gap in between. Once again, if you're really particular on making sure the gap is identical and you're not good at just eyeballing it, make sure you use a ruler. That's a super helpful tool sometimes in these situations, okay? Now, the concept that we want to remember is that things get bigger as they get closer, so I want the illusion that these windows are the same size as these windows. These ones need to get bigger. And I'm actually going to have mine stop right here. Like, I'm just going to leave that big old thing, and maybe it's a bigger window, kind of like this one, the big picture window on these sides, okay? So lots of light in this room. So now I need to divide up this space right here. Like, how many windows do I want in there? Do I want just one window? I think I want just one window. Maybe I want some posters on top of my bed and stuff. So I want to create a window that doesn't quite take up the whole wall. So I'm going to break it up right here. So here I am changing my plans once again, and that's totally fine. And then I want mine semi-centered. So I'm trying to guess about here to here being the same as here to here, a little bit more. Line it up on the bottom edge of my page so then I have a nice vertical line. And then I can erase these extra ones because I will no longer need them. Okay. Right here. Right here. Don't need these lines, so erasing them, cleaning it up. Okay. I guess I only get half a windowsill for my desk. Oh well, I'll get over it. So, there we are. So this is a good start in getting our windows in our room, okay? The last bit that we need to figure out is this border, okay? Getting the frame around our windows, okay? And depending on the type of window you might have a thinner frame or a thicker frame. And also depending on the location of your windows, that also determines what kind of lines you need to finish your window. Now, if I was just doing one on the back wall here, okay, I'm just going to do this really quick. I'd be using my horizontal and vertical lines just to finish it. Voila, window, pretty much done. Unless I wanted to go in and add those fancy little wood bars to sort of separate the pane and support the pane of the window, okay? I don't necessarily need that in my big ones that I have up here, so I'm just going to draw them like this, so I don't really need that, okay? I'm going to show you one of my examples on one of these sides because doing them on an orthogonal line is a little bit trickier. So what you need to do for starters is figure out how thick of a window frame you need, okay? And this all is really up to you. If I am making matching windows and they're on the same wall, I can use an orthogonal to create matching window frames, okay? So I use the same orthogonal, made the thickness of the frame across of both of these, okay? Because it needs to be smaller on this one than it is on that one because this one's closer to me, okay? It's closer, it's farther away from that vanishing point. And I'll do the same thing on the bottom. I want to try to keep it about the same as it was on the top side. Line it up and finish it up. Nice, okay? And then the next thing I'm going to look at is see how thick my pane is on this side. That's how thick I want it to go across the edge. I'm going to go from the bottom again. Then I don't have to line it up from the top. That's harder for me to see. So lining it up on the edge of my paper and then creating this space between my triangle and the edge of the pane about the same as it is in the corner of the pane. So that's about the same. This one is going to be bigger because this one's farther away. So I look at the distance, how thick is my piece right here? So I want to line it up about that thick because as it gets closer to me, once again, it gets bigger, okay? So I'll make sure that I keep that tradition to keep going. Otherwise, if I made my window pane as skinny as this one on this one, it's going to look weird beard, so don't do it. Okay, And then the last bit is finishing up that final edge. You're looking at how thick your window pane is on this side, and you're going to mimic that on this edge for the pane, for the edge of the pane. There you go. Erase the lines that you don't need. Okay. More detail would eventually be added as you are making it maybe look more like wood. Maybe there is, the seam in there depending on your photo. Maybe there's a handle so you could crank out your window pane. Maybe there is lines going across that divide it up. Keep in mind, if it's a line that's going across, I'm going to divide mine actually kind of like in half. So maybe there's something that makes it so I can slide my windows up and down. Okay. I'm using an orthogonal line. Okay. That's super important to remember. Okay. Because it's going farther away from you using an orthogonal line. If I did a horizontal line, it'd look like this and it'd look really stupid. Okay. So don't do that. Okay. And then once again, this little hunk of wood that I use to slide my window up and down. Okay. It's not just a little piece of paper. Okay. And I need to add a little thickness to that, just like we did with my dresser, just like we did with my shelf. So if you saw those videos, you remember me talking about that. Okay. And that divides them up really well. And I have these nice windows. So sometimes, depending on your window, it looks like a window seat, or it needs to look like it's going 3D and goes deeper into space. That's when you're just working with a little bit more complex one-point perspective. So if you have any other questions, if your window is a little bit more complicated than the ones that I did here in my little video, please ask me. Ask a friend that looks like they have complicated ones and they're getting it, okay? I'm not the only person that can answer questions about this. You guys are fantastic resources for each other. So that is all that I have. Have fun drawing some windows. Happy drawing.